who's new here, and of course those of you who are back again, great to have you here. In this video we will take a look together at possible scenarios for the price development of Render, TAO, Kaspa and ONDO. Things remain exciting, so make sure to watch until the end. So we will start with Render. So we have 3 chart patterns telling us still that we should see the area between $3.23 to $2.96. And we are very close to it. Now we have a 4th bearish chart pattern. This can be a bear flag, which we can break to the downside at currently $3.37. If we do, then I think we should see the fair value gap, which is the 5th signal that we should see that area. So we have 3 targets, 3 chart patterns directing us into a fair value gap and a 4th developing at the moment. So I think it is very clear. Render should do another low, in my opinion. It might be possible. You can already see it in bright blue that we are currently forming a falling wedge, which is a bullish pattern. The lower trend line still can be changed, but I don't want to change it because it already has 3 touch points. But this chart pattern has to break to the upside, and then we can get some gains for Render to the upside. So we have also said for Render that I was personally looking for a bullish divergence in the RSI. So where we got here low, and we wanted to see a higher low. We didn't get that higher low. So Render didn't develop the bullish divergence, but in my opinion, with a very high chance, it's going to develop once we get into the fair value gap, because what did I do? So if you look closely, then you can see that we got into an RSI of 17, which is very, very oversold. The price didn't went up that much. So the high in the RSI, which is the top here, is close to the RSI top here, but the price was up here. So basically we got a nice recovery in the RSI, and now we have space to the downside. So another signal for me that Render is going to sell off. So once we sell off, and this is going to start in my opinion at $3.37, so afterwards Render would be short to me, then the sell-off should cause a higher low in the RSI. And if we get some chart development where I can track, for example, a double bottom pattern or a falling wedge or anything which I can trade from the bullish side, then I can even take my long trade down here instead of waiting for this trend line breaking to the upside. And there is a lot of space between that. So I just take the upper part of the fair value gap. So it's still 20%. So I get a long entry 20% lower than the actual breakout point. That would be crazy. So I would still try to catch the short trade because the fair value gap is big, and we have tracked that fair value gap far even before we had those chart patterns. Since here we have said that we should go into the fair value gap down to $3 with a very high chance. We have also said it when we broke this green trend line to the downside. It was red, I think 1 month ago. We broke it to the downside, got our retest, got the breakout of the panel, got another retest, follow through. It was clear to me that over the time we should see that area. And we formed several different chart patterns directing us even more into the fair value gap. So afterwards, I think this here should be the low. I don't expect a collapse. I don't know, something like this. I don't expect it. I expect that we are going to get from here a nice push, which we have seen before. For that we have to go into the 4-hour chart, some kind of this push. So let's talk about TAO. Every coin looks very similar to each other, like always. TAO is also in a bear flag. So if we lose the bear flag, I will put you here the price mark. 364 US dollar. Then we should see the fair value gap down to $317 to 323 US dollar. And this fair value gap is on the 8-hour chart. Yes, I remembered it correctly. We have there still a fair value gap which can get closed. Otherwise, I can't tell you with any kind of chart patterns where we are going to drop. Yeah, I also see here, for example, maybe this, not perfectly, but this should work. So we also have a support trend line, which we can also look for if we lose it as well, which is the 353 US dollar. I would even say we should wait for the low here, 384 US dollar. Then we should drop with a very high chance and kinda quick in my opinion into the 300, yeah, let's round it up to $20, $320. So in my opinion, the whole crypto market is not looking good, but we have predicted it before that we should sell off by losing support and retesting it. Yeah, we have also said if the 399 US dollar breaks to the upside, then we should see the 415 US dollar. We didn't break to the upside. Instead, we broke a red trend line, and red trend lines are important supports or resistance which we have to hold or which we have to break to the upside. Anyway, we had to hold this support. We didn't do. It's a red trend line. We retested it. We got the sharp sell-off. And I don't want to say that I don't care about Israel and Iran, but I don't care about their news. So what I want to tell you is that I already knew it, that once we break support to the downside, then we should drop. And here was an Israel-Iran news. It didn't affect any kind of my chart analysis. It would have affected it if we would have broke the $400 to the upside and instantly we sell off because of that news. Then it would affect my trading. It usually is not doing that. Usually, if we break something and get a news afterwards, then it's just to accelerate the process. So if we get a breakout to the downside with a retest, we don't even have to get the retest, but if now gets some kind of bad news, then we sell off very fast. On the other side, if we break to the upside, we get a bullish news, we push to the upside. What I've also seen is that we have, for example, a breakout to the downside, and now we get a bullish news. It's not going to affect the market. Maybe just a small wick to the upside, afterwards we still sell off. So I have seen that many times. That's why I don't let myself affect by any kind of news. As you can see, the market is already going up a bit, and yes, it can still go up even more while still being in the bear flag, filling a fair value gap, and afterwards sell off into the next fair value gap. Okay, let's get into the more interesting part, Kaspa. You can already see that's art. We were yesterday here, no, a bit higher. We were here, right here. And I have put you 2 purple boxes in the chart. And I've said this purple boxes, we have seen it in the past days, that whenever we got into the purple box, we got this push or we sold off. And I was like, okay, I can try to trade it and get maximum profits while going sideways. 1 or 2 hours later, we broke to the downside. And by breaking the red trend line to the downside, by retesting it, it was clear that we should drop to 7.96 cents. Here's the circle. And afterwards, if we break the 7.96 cents also to the downside, which we did, then, and here was the breakout, here was the retest, here is the follow through. Then we have a chart pattern, which is this double top pattern and rectangle. So this is a rectangle. If this rectangle breaks to the downside, target is going to be the 6.7 cents. What I also see is, that's why I will take a Kaspa short trade after this video, right after this video. I have to hurry a bit. We had here a bear flag within the retest. So we broke to the downside, and the retest of the 7.96 cents is within a bearish chart pattern which broke to the downside, which got its retest here as well. Where should we go? Kaspa is the only coin which has the setup. Every coin has a bear flag, but is still within the bear flag. All the coins are somewhere here. Kaspa already broke out. Does Kaspa know something? Or does the people who trade Kaspa know something? We have to see it. But current target, 7.2 cents to 7 cents. There is the first fair value gap. Second target is going to be the 6.68 cents. Here's the price tag. And the third and last target is the 6.14 cents to 6.5 cents, where we have also a fair value gap. I doubt that we are going to sell off more, but this is my current game plan for Kaspa. If I see other chart patterns on the way down, then I can increase my position size, like for example here. If we get something else, like a rising wedge for example, which we also break to the downside, then I can increase my position size again. But I want to see some kind of setup, and here we have the perfect setup. Here was the first sign of breakout, retest. Here it was short. Breakout, retest, short. Breakout, retest, short. So if we get more like this, then Kaspa can be a huge profitable trade on the way down, because we still have potential down to 20% for Kaspa, and the minimum target in my opinion is 6% in profits with a short trade. So what about ONDO? We have said about ONDO that we have a fair value gap. This circle here, it got closed, but in my opinion, we have already said we should sell off into the 81.7 cents if we also lose that support, which we did here with the retest. Then we should drop into the fair value gap, and there I want to see a bullish chart pattern, like for example double bottom pattern, which breaks to the upside, and then I would take a long position. The issue now is that we drop perfectly on the support of the yellow trend line, and we currently have a bear flag. So ONDO is not long for me, and I'm not going to jump blindly into a long position, because I think ONDO has even the chance. And for that we have to go into the 8-hour chart for two different scenarios. The first one is left shoulder, head, right shoulder, break it to the downside and sell off very, very fast. That would mean that the bull market for ONDO is done. The second option, which I even prefer a bit more, is this head and shoulders formatation. This one has two targets in my opinion, the left shoulder and the right shoulder. We can't hit the target of the head because that would get us somewhere below zero. That's not possible. But if we look into the targets of the left and the right shoulder, then we can see the left shoulder is going to get us into a fair value gap 44 cents to 47 cents, and the right shoulder is getting us down to 33 cents for ONDO. So I would be a bit careful. In my opinion, if we break the bear flag to the downside, we don't have to be that bearish, because that would be still, I think, a 40%, no, even a 50% correction if we break it here to the downside. 40 to 50%, round about that, correction, while the other coins are just having a 20% correction. I think that that is very unrealistic for ONDO. That ONDO is the only coin which sells off 50%. But what I think is kind of realistic, once we break the 76 cents to the downside, is the 65 cents to 62 cents. There's a fair value gap. There's my target. This is not going to happen in one day, unless we have some big negative news. But as long as we sell off slow and steady, we can predict even where ONDO is going to go far more precise. Now we just have the data which I have at the moment with the bear flag, with the targets of impossible head and shoulders formatation on the bigger chart. We have to see. We have to find more chart patterns, but we also have to break 76.6 cents to the downside first to be bearish. Otherwise, we can always break to the upside. And what I can tell you is that if a bear flag or a rising wedge breaks to the upside, those are bearish chart patterns, they should break to the downside. If they break to the upside, then usually the coins are doing this afterwards, because a bearish pattern got invalidated. So, I hope that I gave you some valuable information with today's update, and we have to look into more chart patterns also for breakdowns. I think now we are currently in a consolidation beside Kaspa. I want to get surprised with Kaspa, to be honest, if that's the only coin which is going to sell off while all the other coins are going sideways. If yes, then you just see that technical analysis is pretty good, but we also have to look into the coins by themselves. We can't just look into the whole crypto market. I think this is very, very important to look into the whole crypto markets, because as you can see, the coins are going almost the same. And yes, we were kind of, I want even to say we are kind of lucky that we found the best support trend lines for all the coins. So all the coins did a breakout and a retest. Sometimes it is like that I find 10 coins, 9 out of 10 are doing this, but then there is one coin which didn't hit the perfect support which I wanted it to be. Then it was most likely my fault, or the coin just went a bit more different. And this time we got for every coin this breakout, and we had many signs before that this breakout should happen, with not with every coin, but with some of them. We already had the sign that we should break to the downside. Then we broke to the downside, got our retest. Every coin did the same, at the same support level which we had on the chart for every coin since yesterday in all the videos. Afterwards, this sharp sell-off into another support area and a consolidation within a bear flag. So if Bitcoin, I think Bitcoin is currently in a rising wedge, but this can also be a bear flag. But if Bitcoin breaks to the downside, then this is not going to look good for the other coins, because all those bear flags are going to get activated, and bear flags usually gets the price lower and we can sell off even more. So we see each other tomorrow, and let's see what Kaspa's going to do, because I want maybe even pushing to the upside now. I will get surprised. Stop loss is set to break even in my case, and I will just increase my position size a bit more. So see you then.